Hi, I invited you into my office today to tell the story. As a storyteller, you can see I have lots of books in my office, and I've been working on cleaning it out so I don't have to work on the dining room table. My family appreciates that. Anyway, welcome. I'm going to tell you a story today that is told all around the world by lots of storytellers, and it's been told for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I took lots of versions of this story and I changed the setting of the story. So I changed where it takes place and when it takes place. And so this is how I like to tell this old story. Once upon a time, there were two good friends. How many of you have a good friend? Well, these two friends, they never fought. You have a friend you've never fought with? These friends, they did everything together. They worked together, they studied together, they played together, they did everything together. So when one heard about a gold strike out in California, he turned to his friend with a sparkle in his eye, and both of them started saving their money until they had enough to pay passage out west to California. It was a whole year of saving until finally they had enough. They laid down their money and they got on that wagon train. And they left behind everything that was familiar. And as they were traveling along, the hours, they seemed like days, and the days, they seemed like weeks, and the weeks seemed like months, and the months, they seemed like years as they were traveling all the way from the east to the west. And they thought they would never get there. Have you ever been on a trip like that? That you thought you're never going to get there? Well, these friends, they found a secret. I'll share it with you. One night around a campfire, someone started telling a story about the family that they left behind. And one story reminded someone else of a story, which reminded someone else of a story. And pretty soon everybody was swapping stories, and the time just flew by. And so then they couldn't wait each night until they got to the place where they would stop and water and feed the horses and get some grub for themselves. And all day long as they were traveling, they were thinking of the story that they were going to tell that night. And so pretty soon the months, they seemed like weeks, and the weeks like days, and the days like hours, and the hours like seconds, and the seconds just flew by like nothing at all. And no time at all, they arrived in a little town by the name of Jimtown in California. Now, Jimtown had a creek running through it by the name of Woods Creek. And they heard tell that a lot of gold had been taken out of that creek. So the two friends decided to stop there and to set up their camp. They put their bedrolls on one side of that creek, and there was a bridge across the creek, and one of them set up his bedroll on one side of the bridge and the other one on the other side of the bridge. And every day they were down at that water's edge panning for gold. In the wind and the rain, they were panning for gold. In the sleet and the snow, they were panning for gold. Underneath the scorching sun, they were. When their tummy was growling and their feet were sore, they were panning for gold. When all they wanted to do was throw their pan down and head off back toward what was familiar, they were panning for gold. And on a day much like today, they were. When an old man walked right between them, walked across that bridge, up the hill, and disappeared beyond the crest of the hill. When the two friends paused for some grub and some conversation, the friend on this side of the bridge said, I wonder where that man with the red sombrero was going. And the friend on this side of the bridge said, "Man with the red sombrero, who you talking about?" And the friend on this side said, "Well, you must have seen him. He walked between us not 5 minutes ago. He went across the bridge. You must have seen him." And the friend on this side said, "Well, yeah, I saw the man but he had a sombrero, but it wasn't red. It was black. You confused me." And the friend on this side said, "Of course it was red. Are you blind?" And the friend on this side said, "If you think that sombrero was red, you need spectacles. It was as black as midnight." And the friend on this side said, "No, it wasn't. It was as red as the blood that courses through my veins." The friend on this side said, "Well, then maybe we should open up your veins and find out what color your blood is, because I'm telling you, that sombrero, it was black." And they argued for the first time. Finally, they decided that they would prove each other wrong, so they stomped across that bridge. Anger was in their belly. And when anger is in your belly, you are quick to action and slow to thought. You don't say anything very interesting either when your belly's full of anger. Usually you just keep repeating the same words over and over again, as if those words spoken are instantly going to have some new meaning. So if you were a bird flying overhead, all you would have heard was red, black, red, black, red. Wasn't any time at all before they caught up with that old man and called out. The old man turned around, and the two friends, why, they took a step back. They looked at each other, and then they looked at the old man, and they said, "Old man, we figured you've been in these parts for a while. We figured you must have some stories. We just took out our grub. What do you say we swap stories for grub, huh?" And the old man said, "Of course I got stories. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not going to sit down and swap them with nobody. Because I heard tell there's a gold strike just a little further on, and I want to get there before the others. Maybe around another bend we can sit down and swap stories, if you stick around long enough. But as for now, I'm on my way." And the two friends watched him disappear in the distance. Two friends looked at each other, and then they sauntered down that hill, across the bridge, and went to where their pans lay neglected by the side of the creek. They picked up their pans, they dunked it in the water, and they swished that water around. And then they tossed out what didn't matter much. Dunked it in the water again, swooshed it around, and they knew that it was just the next pan, that's when they would strike it rich. And then the friend on this side of the bridge, he paused and he turned to his friend and he said, "My friend, when that old man turned around, I saw that sombrero, it was black." And the friend on this side of the bridge that went across the creek, he said, "I too saw, and I saw that sombrero, it was red." You see, when the man turned around, and they could see the man on all sides, they saw the color of the sombrero was divided right down the middle. And on one side of the sombrero, it was red. And on the other side of the sombrero, it was black. So I think that story has been on the tongues of storytellers all around the world to remind us here today that when we get into an argument with our friend and we think we are right and they are wrong, or we get into an argument with our sibling and we know we are right and they are wrong, it is always wise to look at both sides of the sombrero. Hope you're keeping your arguments with your siblings to a minimum. And remember, look at both sides. Look down in the description also, and you'll see some activities you can do with this story. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you'll know when a new video is uploaded. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Bye for now.